Hi, this is Mrs. Clark and welcome to my video on writing an equation of a line given a slope and a y-intercept. So first thing we're going to do is take a look at what information we're being asked to do. So the directions here say write the slope-intercept form. So let's just underline that real quick. And remember that the slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So anytime I see those directions, this is what my final answer should look like. So the m, remember, is going to be my slope, and the b is going to be my y-intercept. So this first video on how to write these equations is going to be pretty simple because they're giving us the slope, which is the m, and they're giving us the y-intercept, which is the b. So in the first equation, I have to answer in this y equals blank x plus blank form. So it's going to be y equals something x plus something. So what goes in front of the x is whatever the m value is, which is our slope. And here it tells me my slope, which is m, is equal to 2. So I'm going to put a 2 in the m position. So I've got y equals 2x. Then I have my y-intercept here, which is b. And I'm going to put the b is going to become -1, which is my b. And so where the b is, I'm going to put a -1. So my equation reads y equals 2 for the slope, x minus 1 for the y-intercept. It is important that I have the x here. The slope goes in front of the x. It's separate from x, but it is the coefficient to x. The y-intercept goes at the end. I put -1. Someone might want to write it this way, which is also an acceptable way of doing it. Y equals 2x plus -1. Those both actually mean the very same thing, so either one of those would be an acceptable answer. If you're looking at your slope being 2, if you wanted to write it as a fraction, it would be 2 over 1, but this is the most simple form on how to do that. So let's look at the second example. Given the slope is -5 over 2, and the y-intercept, which is our b, is 3. I'm going to write my slope-intercept form. So y equals mx plus b for this one. It's going to start with a y equals. My m is -5/2, so that's what's going to fill in right here, -5 over 2. Then I'm going to bring my x down. Then I'm going to add my b. In this case, my b is +3, so I'm going to put +3. It doesn't have a positive sign in front of it. I just have to know that it's a +3 and then make it +3. So that is our final answer for the equation for that. So these are very simple, quick, just filling in the information that we know already into the equation in the correct places. So we've done one with a negative intercept, one with a positive intercept, one with a whole number slope, one with a fraction slope, negative fraction slope. So now we're going to move down to number 3. Why don't you go ahead and pause the video here and try to do 3 and 4, check back and to see if you did them correctly, and then we can move on together. Alright, so looking at the slope here, we have m equals 1, and the y-intercept here, we have b equals 4. So I'm going to go ahead and fill them into my equation. It's going to be y equals mx plus b. So it starts with a y equals. My m is 1, so I'm going to put a 1 in front of the x. My b is -4, so I'm going to put, it's +4, so I'm going to put a +4. So my equation is y equals 1x plus 4. Now I could actually write this a different way. I could take that 1x and just make it an x, because we know when an x is by itself, it is 1 plus 4. So it could just say y equals x plus 4. That would also be an acceptable answer for this, a little bit more simplified, but if you want to write the 1x, it's completely acceptable as well. Alright, so on to number 4. Here is -1. My y-intercept, which is my b, is -4. So it's very similar to this one, except for it's a negative slope and a negative y-intercept. So in the same idea, y equals mx plus b. I'm going to start with y equals. My m is -1, so I'm going to put a -1 in front of my x. Then I have a negative y-intercept, so I'm going to put -4 for my b. And so that is an acceptable way to write this answer, y equals -1x minus 4. But I also could simplify it a little bit more, and I could put -x minus 4, and this -1 can just become a -x. So that's another way of writing that as well, which would be the same, acceptable. Both of them are accepted correct. So either the -1x or just the -x, but either of those is fine. Again, with the y-intercept, you could do a plus -4 if you want instead of a -4, but why write more than what you need to? All right, we got 2 more examples. So these 2 are a little bit different. In this example, my slope m is 4/3, so it's a fraction again. But in this part, my b is 0. So when I'm writing that equation, I'm just going to have a part of it that's 0. So y equals mx plus b. I'm going to start with y equals. My m was 4/3, so I'm going to put that in front of the x. My b was a 0, so I can put plus 0, but I don't have to write the plus 0. I can actually simplify this a little bit more, and I can make it just y equals 4/3 x. I don't have to actually put the plus 0 on there. So I can answer it either way. The simpler version is on the bottom, but the top version would be acceptable too. Now, on the computer might not recognize that top answer as a correct answer. They may want you to simplify it like that if you're working on Khan Academy. But, you know, I would take either answer. All right, and then the last one. The slope m is 0. In this case, my y-intercept is -5. And so when I write my y equals mx plus b, my m is what's going to be 0 this time. So I start with y equals, put a 0 in front of the x. Then I have plus b, which is a -5, so -5. And this shows me a 0 slope because it's 0x, and then a -5, it's my y-intercept. I can actually simplify this down even more. When I have 0x, that means I have no x's at all. So I can actually take the x completely out of this equation and make it y equals -5. So you're going to see examples like this written in this way more than in the top way, but I want you to see how it transpires from one to the other. When my slope is 0, this is a horizontal line going like this. This is 0 fun. So when my slope is 0, it has this kind of equation, y equals -5. So it crosses the y-axis at -5. Oh, that's +5, excuse me. It'll look like this. It'll cross the y-axis at -5. And it will be horizontal because this is 0 fun. So this is the better way to write the equation y equals -5. You could write it this way. It really wouldn't be wrong, but at Khan Academy again, or like in a quiz or something, you might want to write it this way to make sure that you're writing it in the most simplified version. So go ahead and put these notes into your notebook. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them, and then go ahead and move on to the practice. Thanks for watching.